Welcome to the Edition Wars podcast, where we take a deep dive into the mechanics and playstyles of all the editions of our favorite game. We look at what worked, what didn't, what led to a better game, as well as what didn't, and we talk about it all. In this episode, we are going to discuss Unearthed Arcana, the 3rd edition book, the designer's toolkit, the cutting room floor scraps, and we're starting with Chapter 2. And we're not going to make any promises about how long this series runs, because we aren't good at that. I don't know. We aren't good at brevity. I mean, Sam has wit. I have tediousness and its outward limbs and flourishes.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I'm not sure it's true, but whatever. Wow. Okay. So we're starting with chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Yep. We covered a whole chapter last time.
Yes.
Very good.
Well, we did an overview, and we mentioned what's good and bad. Well, we mentioned
anyway. We did actually touch on a thing from later in chapter 2.
Yes.
Because we flashed forward to my favorite thing in the book.
Right. Which leads us to actual chapter 2.
Yeah.
Which is about classes. So chapter 1 was races. So this is classes. So there are variants for, I'm pretty sure, every base class, right?
Get some amount of variation on every base class. Some of them much more substantial variants than others.
Sure.
And so it's sort of just spinning stuff in a bunch of different directions. And a fair amount of this stuff is at least going to be superficially interesting as a path not traveled that maybe could still be explored for 5e. So I guess let's just jump into it, right? With the barbarian variants. So, totem barbarian, cool. We did that one. That subclass. That's very good. Oh, there's more animals. Well, that's kind of slick.
Yeah.
So right, like we see bear and eagle, and wolf. So like we kind of have the player's handbook totems wrapped up right here, and then we also have ape and boar and dragon and horse and jaguar. The jaguar is what it calls standard for, I don't know, reasons, and lion and serpent, and that's a whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm. And then the original bear, eagle, wolf.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, actually not remembering this text, I did release, I think maybe only on my blog, a serpent totem for barbarians. Explored that a bit. But, there would be nothing in the world wrong with seeing more totem options come out for totem barbarians in 5e. And, a lot of these definitely could have a place. A dragon totem barbarian could just go ahead and be its own subclass. Like, I'd be into that. I think a lot of people would. It's very Eberron, right? Because barbarians of Arganesson. Yeah, we're good. And
you could even intertwine that and create it like a dragon mark variant.
Right. Yeah. And then the inclusion of horse totem actually puts me back in mind of the 1st edition barbarian, which really, really cared about giving at least a nod to like the Turkic peoples and their horse archery and Slavic peoples and all of this, like really specific real world groups and like nods to what they did really well, or at least what Gygax thought they did really well. Let's be real about what I mean. But
Yeah.
like if you wound up supporting like Tuigan horse archers from Forgotten Realms with a horse totem, that's pretty cool. That does actually like say something about who you are in a fun way, and it distinguishes you from other people in your class. One of the things about D&D is you usually don't need to be distinguished from other characters who have the same class within the party, because you don't usually have two people of the same class in the same party very often.
Right.
In older
Not
editions,
unless you're playing a specific type of adventure where everyone's a wizard or everyone's,
sure, and you've also got very early editions of D&D, like original and probably presumably 1E. I assume that there are 2 or 3 fighters in the party. There might be 2 wizards. There might be 2 clerics or whatever. That I assume is totally normal when there are 3 to 4 classes. And like, in my own game, I've had a situation where there are 2 barbarians at the same time, who just had different subclasses. That was pretty cool. I've had 2 fighters with the same subclass who still played totally differently. Anyway, the point is,
that's one of the interesting things about role playing, right? Is that you can actually build two characters that are mechanically exactly similar, right? Exactly the same, but yet the role players, the players themselves can play those so differently that's
right.
Anyway, yeah, we're gonna go on it.
No, I absolutely agree. Like the example of that I always hold up is actually Pendragon, where everyone is playing a knight.
Right.
Everyone needs to have
same class.
Right. You're all the same class. You even are chasing the same skills, because you all need sword, you all need lance, you all need the same couple of skills, and then you've got other skills that you might or might not be good at, and then you might have different ethnicities, and it's Pendragon. Those have mechanical outcomes.
Right. And you start out basically at the same kind of noble rank, right? Because you're knights. Is that right?
Right. Though, like, it might be better to be, for example, a Briton than or a Roman than a Saxon knight.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, the point is, I played a ton of Pendragon several years ago, and the characters differentiating themselves was not a problem.
Right.
But we were all competing for the same prizes, so that changes the game a lot. But I digress. So anyway, not doing a ton of deep dive into any of these totems. They're all interesting. Like the horse totem that I talked about. Like with these, you're trading out a bunch of features, right? So it's all a question of like how much do you care about the features you're trading out in exchange for what you're getting. Well, I'm sorry, run and endurance are nobody's power move, right? They're occasionally nice to have at best. That in exchange for uncanny dodge, trap sense, improved uncanny dodge. And you also get +2 to handle animal checks made with regard to horses, and +2 bonus to ride checks made to ride a horse. No.
Unless you're playing a game where everyone is a horseman.
Sure. But then why do you need run?
Well, no, I mean, forget run, but I'm just saying, like, if that's a theme of the game,
sure, yeah,
then you might choose, if you were going to play a barbarian anyway, you might choose this particular set of class features to be the horse totem, because eventually it will get you a tiny bump that's actually going to end up being a big deal.
Sure.
Possibly later. in terms of your handling animals and writing checks and all that kind of crap. So,
and that's fair. Some of these probably are, at least pretty exciting. The boar totem getting extra damage reduction. Well, I might trade standard fast movement, uncanny dodge, trap sense, and improved uncanny dodge for extended
DR.
rage, more damage reduction, and treat it as having the die hard feat. Well, that's worth something. It does change a lot of stuff because your like extra survivability at first level is hard to come by. But like I said, I don't want to trade you every one of these.
I guess so. My thing is, like, the reason I brought up that with the horse totem was that some of these like this book in general is like, oh, you have a niche that you want to try to fit. You want to have some official content for fitting the characters into this niche that you want to have in your campaign. Okay, here you go. Blah. Let me throw out a whole bunch of pages of different variants in very short order. I mean, these class feature listings for the barbarian, for example, they're like 2 sentences and 3 bullet points, right? I mean, this isn't like a 5-page treatise on how to be a horse barbarian. This is like, sure. Okay, switch some of these out, add some of this. That'll give you the thematic element, and it's an official book. It's official content. Here you go. You can make it work.
Yep.
And so that's what a lot of this is. A lot of this class chapter is all about, oh, let me try this very specific situational thing that I need in my campaign. Hey, here's an official rule for it now.
Yep. That is about right. But then you have Dragon Totem, which probably worth it. Probably do that.
Right.
Anyway, like the takeaway here is, as you're saying, cool idea, maybe needs another balance pass, but cool idea. Good on them for at least giving some pointers in how to personalize stuff. And a game where there are a bunch of barbarians and their particular lodge matters would be awesome. So then you have the Bard variants. There are 3. You have Bardic Sage, which swaps in intelligence-based casting and gets some other casting stuff. They say learn additional divination spells, and they have additional spells on their class list. And it costs them some stuff on bardic music, etc. But then you have Divine Bard, who does the same but with wisdom instead of charisma. And so this is interesting to see because it's totally a thing in 13th Age. Right?
I guess I didn't realize. I haven't played a lot of 13th Age.
Well, so I covered 13th Age just in my history of the classes stuff for Tribality. I've played now some 13th Age, but not a ton. The thing there is just like bards are charisma casters at base, but there are things you can swap out for. Like, I think I want to say it's talents that you can take that let you be an intelligence caster or a wisdom caster instead. And I love that. That's really neat. It really, really nicely expands the concept of who in the setting is a bard and what being a bard means in different situations. So that makes me really happy.
Yeah.
Then you also have the Savage Bard that it is a little bit more like a Valor Bard in 5e. And they gain illiteracy because they're part barbarian. Sure, it's
right.
No one misses that rule. and then it changes around their spell list a bit. And also no one misses compulsory alignments. Must be chaotic in alignment. Savage Bard becomes non-chaotic, cannot progress in levels as a bard, but he retains all his bard abilities. Miss me.
I mean, what's funny about this is I feel like this is a lot of missed opportunity in this entry. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know.
No, go ahead.
I just for me reading that, I just think to myself, why would anybody take this?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know, like, but yet I could see sort of glimmers of, hey, here's how this would make sense, right? Like if you're thinking of this sort of barbarian tribes that, you know, have, it makes sense that you would have something with some sort of musical talent, and you would be able to inspire your band of other barbarians in your native homeland, and you know what I'm saying, like, and
Yeah.
and there's probably an oral tradition, less so maybe than written, although maybe there's some, you know, writing of symbology on hides and whatnot, you know what I mean, like, so there's no need for the illiteracy, so that throw that right out. Whoops, should I be
Yeah.
cussing? This is a family podcast. Throw that stuff
Losing that
right
clean
out,
tag.
right? Yeah. Throw that illiteracy right out, because you don't, it's not necessary. There's no reason for that. So you could add in a cool class feature instead, right?
Yep.
Like there's just a lot of space in there that instead of broadening it and making it, hey, this would be something kind of cool that is really thematic, but it's a bard, not a barbarian, and then it just kind of
Well, right, and like it makes me think about like the ancestral spirits barbarian subclass in Xanathar's Guide, and how like that really tells you a lot about like a tribal culture potentially. Well, a bard from that culture would be so awesome,
right.
but you would need to like give it a good hard hip check to get the mechanics like working to tell that story a little more, and it probably need to be its own a bard subclass. That's fine,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
you know, you can have subclasses that are good for only one situation. Like that's okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that like those two things folding together is really cool. So the next up is the cleric variant of the cloistered cleric, and this is the only variant cleric here, but they are much more your kind of clothy casters, simple weapons and light armor. They have lore as an ability.
This is your Friar Tuck
Right.
scholarly cleric versus your battle cleric with a shield and a mace smiting enemies. Almost
And
a paladin, right? It's not the almost a paladin; it's the almost a priest.
Yep, and I love that. Right.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it has a place. It has a place, definitely.
So the thing other than D&D that has really done a lot to shape my notion of what a priest can and should look like is World of Warcraft, because my main for years and years and years was a priest, and they're very very backline. I have no business being anywhere near a fight. Sort of you know, healers and damage dealers, and their damage dealing form is awesome and terrifying. Well, a shadow priest, but a cleric in D&D would be wild. You'd have to do a lot of massaging to really get it to work quite like WoW does, because Mind Flay, like that's a great spell name, but what does that do in D&D?
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, I guess in 5e, what I want to say is that the nature of domains and making domains the main thing that varies between clerics is actually really narrowing in sort of surprising ways. Because you don't have a mechanical emphasis on what's your role within a single faith. You have mechanical emphasis on, a different level of thing about that character. So anyway, I have no problem with the cloistered cleric as such, but dropping down to d6 for hit die was just unnecessary. Like, oh, they have another average hit point per level, y'all.
Right.
So druid variant, druidic avenger. It's very much blending barbarian DNA into the druid, and that's fun. That's fine, family fun.
Right. It's your druid with no animal companion.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, please take this variant and don't be as powerful as a druid. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's third ed druids, man.
Yeah.
So OP.
Yeah.
So OP.
But this is the let me intimidate you and let me not have an animal companion because I don't need one because I'm intimidating myself.
Well, right. I can still wild shape.
Right. Yeah.
I can still wild shape into a rat in a cage.
Right. Yeah.
Someone will say, what is lost can never be saved. So the fighter variant is the thug. And
anybody who doesn't get that isn't old enough. But anyway, I don't know how old the listeners are, but whatever.
Well, most of the listeners I know are my age or older, and
yes,
they'll think I'm hilarious, I'm sure.
And they either love or hate Billy Corgan. But anyway, moving on.
Right.
So the thug.
So the fighter variant is the thug, and I've seen various fighter thugs and rogue thugs, and it's sort of, is your fighter a little bit more of a rogue, or is your rogue a little bit more of a fighter? In just tons of different situations. Like, wasn't it a kit in second ed? I want to say it was a rogue kit, and then there's some rogue builds that are very much themed that way in 4e. You can play the club wielding rogue, and so on, and like, it's never really appealed to me, though I have a friend who's playing a fighter who would fit this theme pretty well in my campaign, and I'm fine with his character. Like, I have no problem with what he's doing. It's just not what I would play. It's just never really spoken to me. Like, when I've wanted to play a sort of hard-headed brute of a fighter, more rogue stuff was not my way of doing it. So
yeah, Anyway, I mean, there's not really a lot to say about that. I feel like you. It's sort of like, well, is your rogue more fightery or is your fighter more roguey? There's so many ways to do it that this one doesn't really offer anything that's all that real different. But if you're not a if you're not a designery person who's making your own stuff, and especially in third edition where there were lots of little fiddly bits. If you couldn't do that on your own, which I know a ton of people who never would design something. They want a book and they want the book to tell them how to do it, and there you go. And this is perfect for them, I guess. But it just doesn't bring anything to the table for me that seems.
So the one, I guess, thing about this is that you're trading a feat for more class skills and more skill points. That's the whole idea. Right. And fighters need more skills anyway. Having to sell stuff for it is frustrating because
right. Now you're explicitly trading it away.
Yeah, but it's just the class skill and skill point stinginess of third ed is one of the things that rubs me the wrong way about it here years later.
Right.
So next up is the monk variant, which is fighting styles, and let's see, they don't declare any of these styles to be the basic one, do they? To be the default one?
The monk, I don't think so. Let me skim it real quick again. I'm not a huge lover of the 3E monk, so I did not spend a lot of time, honestly, staring into the eyes of this one.
Well, yeah, the thing about the 3E monk is that they really flip from so fragile as to be barely playable to untouchable gods
Right.
because of their saving throws, right?
Right.
Because once the game is more about save or die spells and spell resistance is king, well, yeah, I guess monks are going to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is all about telling little stories with what you get, like giving you different bonus feats in place of your default bonus feats as a monk, right? And including a skill bonus. Like they're fine. The the concept feels like such a light touch approach to me. At this remove of many years that I don't love it anymore. But the themes that it's playing with are, I think, worth a second look. Some of the things like Cobra Strike and Sleeping Tiger are things I wanted to draw in with the Way of the Wild Monk that I wrote. That also made it into Seeds of Odari in a changed up form. Like something like Invisible Eye. Well, that's on the strength of one sentence. That's still compelling enough that I'd want to sit down and think about what I thought that could mean and do something with that.
Right.
So yeah, like the best thing here is the fighting style names. Everything else is sort of all right.
But you could take every single one of these and you could turn it into a subclass in 5th edition.
Yep.
And
I mean, hand and foot is straight up the way of the open hand. We're good.
Sure. But I just mean in terms of, let's say that didn't exist, right? Let's say you were going to make monk subclasses. Here's a great page and a half of, or I guess just one page maybe, of ideas of what you could do. And of course, if you're making a whole 5e subclass, you're gonna flesh it out a little bit more. But ultimately, this is giving you the pointers to do it.
Yep.
That's giving you some directions to think about. You may not even decide to do them exactly the same, but they make sense. But kind of like the fighter, it's okay.
Right. Like it's useful if what you need is an idea mine. At this remove, if you're still playing 3.5 and there's nothing wrong with that, it's just not for me. Then maybe you do want to take a second look at some of these. So yeah. That brings us to the Paladin variants, Freedom, Slaughter, and Tyranny. Well, this goes way back in D&D. Having a chaotic good, lawful evil, and chaotic evil paladin, right? That's just a long time like thing people have wanted, and that makes sense to me. Of course, we should get rid of alignment restrictions on paladins. Oh, you want to do that a different way?
Well, yeah.
All right, sure. I guess you could do that.
Sort of.
Right. But there was an old Dragon Magazine article that did all of these, and I don't remember if any of them ever. I'm pretty sure some of them made it into official print. I know that in Defenders of the Faith, the 3.0 book, there was a Holy Liberator kind of deal. But yeah, like Paladin of Conquest is absolutely the tyranny concept here. It does it a little bit differently because this is much more disease focused, and that was much more fear focused. The one in Xanathar's Guide is much more fear focused. I think you could definitely make an argument. I would be the first to make the argument that freedom is the sort of origin point for Oath of the Ancients.
Sure.
And then
I think that's a good argument you could make. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Slaughter is your Oathbreaker. We also in UA at one point saw I want to say it was a Tyranny subclass or something like that. In parallel with in the same document with Conquest.
Mm-hmm.
I may have the name a little bit wrong, but I'm not looking it up right now. Anyway, these are all.
But these, following the. So the interesting thing is they have the code of conduct, right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, fine. But a Paladin of Slaughter must be of chaotic evil alignment and loses all class abilities if she ever willingly commits a good act. The Paladin
What does
of
that
Tyranny,
even mean?
Right, the Paladin of Tyranny is the same exact way, except it's lawful evil instead of chaotic.
Right.
And so, loses all class abilities if he ever willingly commits a good act. Like, really?
Right.
What do you define as a good act? Like, when I think of some creature that is lawful evil or some humanoid that is lawful evil and that would hold a class like this, right? That would have this position of being a Paladin of Tyranny.
Yeah.
You're not going to be worried about, ooh, did I just commit a good act?
Right.
Right. I mean, so it's one of those, like, you allow your minion to you show your minion mercy once because you want to teach them a lesson about torture or something. That's a good act to show them mercy. Oh, suddenly you're no longer, you know what I mean? Like, that's such a completely.
I mean, is it? I mean, do we need
Well,
to?
I'm just saying, like, having mercy is a good.
I mean, we just
good trait, right?
Well, but your motives are corrupt. If your motives are sufficiently corrupt, there's no good action.
Right, but this doesn't say anything about that. It just says ever willingly commits a good act.
But my argument is that it's not a good act anymore if your motives are corrupt enough.
Right, but okay, so this is the argument we're going to have at the table every time.
Right.
Right. Right. Which is my point, right?
So I basically make my players go watch all of The Good Place and and understand. Okay.
Right. So now every session is a trolley problem. Okay, got it. Let's move on.
Right. And you're basically playing like spoilers, I guess, season 1 Michael. Sort of.
Right.
Also sort of. Anyway, right. I'm going to cut that before spoilers go too far. Yeah.
So here's the thing, though, right? Like that. So I mean, my point. I mean, I'm just like, this is the exact reason why alignment restrictions fall down, because if you're actually going to write it that way, there's a lot of wiggle room in saying this creature is lawful evil, right? Or this player is chaotic good or whatever. Right. There's a lot of wiggle room there. But if you're going to start putting a literal code of conduct that begins with the sentence, a Paladin of Freedom must be of chaotic good alignment and loses all class abilities if he ever willingly commits an evil act, like, okay.
Right.
But now, like, I don't know. This is where the alignment thing falls apart. And I'm an old school player. I like alignments, right? Like, I'll argue for the usefulness of alignments up and down, right? Like, we could probably do an entire episode where I argue the usefulness of alignments, and you could probably counterpoint everything I say, and I could counterpoint everything you say.
Well, I will certainly say I do not get any use out of alignments at my table.
Sure, but I'm just saying, like, but there's a way to make them useful,
sure.
And I don't think this fulfills that
right.
in my mind, right?
But it does give you more to argue about, and if you're playing a paladin of slaughter or tyranny, that's probably why you're here.
Right. Yes.
You probably just love arguing with your poor DM.
Well, and this is the other thing, though. Like, I'm kind of surprised that those two are in here. Are there other evil variant classes in this chapter? I didn't really actually look for them, but Like it just feels like that. Okay, that's information for the Book of Vile Darkness, right? Like that's fodder for your evil campaign book,
Yeah, a little
not
bit.
fodder for a variant class chapter where every other class variant that's presented is
Well,
meant for
right.
PCs.
But, that said, why is this existing in parallel with the Blackguard Prestige class?
Well, yeah, that's a different story. Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go ahead and hit up the Ranger variant.
Well, wait, I want to say one last thing about this Paladin thing. So they do this interesting piece right here where they give you table 2-1, which is the comparison side by side of the Paladin class features for the three different variations that it has here. Why didn't they do that for the monk and the barbarian, the totem barbarian, which also had a whole bunch of different options, so that you could see them all side by side? Like it feels like this is this would have been a good type of formatting for some of the previous options too in this chapter.
That's probably fair. I don't pretend to know why they make the layout decisions they make, but
Yeah.
this certainly makes it much easier to sort of look around and see what's going on and parse it all.
Yeah.
But it's also much more varied from the baseline. It is more things are changed here than totems or monks.
Right. Yeah, sure. That's fair. But what you also notice is they also don't compare this to the just standard box standard paladin.
Yep.
Right. So you can't even really see what this is showing you is what's different between these three variants, but not what's different between these variants and a standard.
Oh yeah.
So anyway.
So right. Next we get the Ranger variants. If you're playing a Ranger, well, that one's in Xanathar's guide. Very good. I mean, the Horizon Walker was already a prestige class, but Horizon Walker. You have your Urban Ranger, which is this is far from the first time this concept has come up, and certainly won't be the last.
Right. I call this the city tracker. Right. This
right.
is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
basically.
But we're right. Like if you need to exfiltrate yourself from, I don't know, maybe New York or L.A. Like, and Snake Plissken's obviously dead, so you need this guy.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So there's a whole sidebar on urban tracking. That's a thing.
Yeah.
And it's gather information.
That's actually one of the more it's one of the more interesting parts of this.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah. Like this is a really nice standard rule. The worst I can say of it is it's a little fiddly, but tracking has been fiddly forever, so that's not surprising.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's nothing actually wrong with this at all. Not by the third ed standards. And sort of exactly in counterpoint to a more urban ranger, you have a more wilderness rogue. And we saw UA go through this exact paradigm with all the alternate rangers and crypto alternate rangers that have come out from UA over the years. So your scout rogue, which is in Xanathar's, is absolutely just this right here. But then scout would also go on to be a 20 level class later in 3.5. So there's that. I don't actually have any strong feeling about the wilderness rogue. They have some new special ability options. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they're fine. They have different class skills, which is just sort of they should get to choose their skills differently. Why do we even have? You know what? That whole class out of class thing.
Right. It's a thing, though, right? Like you have to.
It's a big thing
to those, right?
Yeah, it's a really big deal.
That giant table, my I'm gonna die when I say it. My favorite table from the PHB, right? Like that's,
right. Well, go get a towel because you just skeeted blood all over your keyboard.
I know,
right from the eyes.
It's horrible.
But
yeah, I mean, but at the same time, you basically remove some class skills that would be standard rogue class skills, and you add some class skills that would be wilderness based. I think
Yeah.
the special ability that you mentioned earlier, those adding those special abilities is the most interesting thing about this variant.
Yep. Like, I would just want to see this all brought completely into the baseline rogue as standard. This doesn't need to be a variant that you lock yourself into. This can just live in rogue as far as I'm concerned. That would be really cool. So the next variant along the way, I'm hurrying through these, folks, because it's a big chapter. Next variant along the way is the sorcerer. We get the battle sorcerer, and in principle, I love this kind of thing. The sorcerer has long been a stack of mechanics in search of an identity, and letting it be a little bit closer to a fighter mage concept. I don't know how many people are gonna just be horribly offended if I call it a gish, but it's a gish. That's a lore term, folks. It comes from the Githyanki. No, all right. So they gain proficiency with any light or one-handed martial weapon of the character's choice, and with light armor. Now, that's still not necessarily going to make you a frontliner. They did also go up to D8 hit dice, but there's definitely the baseline of a really cool idea here, especially if you have all of the spells that were published for 3.5 at your fingertips, so you can pick the ones that are best suited to you, because a lot of them were sorcerer spells. They're just terrible for your baseline sorcerer and amazing for a battle sorcerer. The other thing this reminds me of is in D&D Next, there was this one draft, one or maybe two drafts, of a sorcerer class that was spell point based, and as you burned down your spell point pool, you actively picked up different abilities. So you had abilities that didn't come online until you'd burned down your spell point pool to a certain degree. This was the coolest damn thing.
Yeah, no one in my group was playing that class during that packet change.
So I had two players roll up sorcerers, and one of them actually saw some use at the table. And they're only about second level, so they didn't get to see the whole fun of it, but what a cool idea. Just too mechanically burdensome, right? And it doesn't really fit with the way your sorcery point total can rise and fall a lot in the course of a day in 5e, as we have it now. But for what it was then, so cool. Anyway.
Yeah. I always think of the sorcerer as just the way to be able to introduce variant spellcasting.
Sure.
That's all it is. That's why it's the same as you saying it's a set of mechanics in search of a focus, right? Like
right.
That's the same thing I think about it. Like it's a way to sort of introduce a different way of spellcasting. I mean that's a neutral statement. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying like it's often felt sort of out of place to me because of that, but not in a bad way. Like I feel like it doesn't have a place, but just sort of like it's out of place.
But I feel like if the battle sorcerer here had become sort of a more central standard, that really could have been given its own identity in a really bold way. Like my buddy Colin has done some conceptual work with an arcane martial blend that comes across as sort of an arcane paladin. That's sort of the space he's working in. And like some of the thematic stuff he was doing there was just really like different and exciting, and said things about the world that I thought would have been really cool. And this battle sorcerer would fit into those ideas really, really well. But here we are. And so the last of these is the wizard variant, and this is sort of hard to grasp what it's selling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's talking about domains in the clerical sense. Just sort of your magic is really tightly themed around this one thing, but it's not like transmutation or divination.
Right.
It's instead
topics like cold and battle.
But it can be the abjuration domain. Okay.
Yeah, or conjuration, or divination, or
invocation, and all the schools show up here, right?
Or necromancy, or storm,
right? Like
like I said, it's double dipping almost that it.
Right, and that's and you want to play a fire wizard, and D&D doesn't actually set out to make that easy for you. I'm sympathetic to that issue, right? And it's an issue for a bunch of different reasons, starting with what do you do when you fight something fire immune?
Right.
Or do you just leave? Because like it can still kill you, but you can't do anything to it? Well, that's not great. But yeah,
I think
this is just collections of spells.
Combine these. You could pick 2 domains, so you could do cold and fire, right?
Yeah, like that would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
Like I don't think you have to necessarily squint too hard to see Shadow of the Demon Lord and its spellcasting schools or traditions, or whatever they call them, in this, right? Because these are very short and tightly themed collections of spells.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like here's the anti-magic domain and here's the possible list of spells that and then it's like 5 pages of. It's like no, here's the cantrip, here's the first level set of spells, right? Here's the second level, and it's 1 or 2 for each one, for each level. So it's not an extensive like here you go. It's a very focused list for each domain.
And then finally we have other class variants, because the foregoing list of class variants was not enough class variants. And this is just still more sense of, we found this in the cutting room floor, we think it has some value, we're not going to finish developing it, but here you go.
Yeah, but it's also like it's not even like full variant, right? So for example, the barbarian one is like suggesting, well, if you prefer crafty hunting over ferocity, then you exchange rage for some ranger class features, and then it gives you, your then it's very short and sweet. I actually like it as a sort of, pick your poison kind of little very quick, like you're not even really making a variant, you're just deciding to trade out. You lose 2 things, you gain 2 things, kind of thing.
And I think that sort of in overall feel, this is putting me very much in mind of Pathfinder, right? Pathfinder 1e has a lot of like alternate class feature options, and then you get versions of the classes where all of your class features. This is also true in Pathfinder 2nd Ed. All of your class features are choices from a short like a la carte list, right? And your a la carte options expand as you go, but they're all choice points. Well, this is trying to offer you like drilling way down to specifics, get exactly what you want, and you don't have any features that you have to sort of wonder how you're going to fit them into your concept, or maybe not give them as much camera time because they don't sell the concept you care about as much.
Right. And that's similar kind of to their traits, right? Don't they have a trait system in Pathfinder
Oh,
that
probably.
allows you to add. It came later on in the editions cycle, but it's basically like one-liners, right? Like, here's your trait. Your trait is you're an orphan, raised by the church. You're an orphan acolyte, and that gave you, some kind of. I'm just totally making this up, but that would give you, the ability to do something that would otherwise only be open to a cleric, but you're a fighter or a barbarian or a wizard or whatever, and so that trait gives you one little tiny piece and allows you to bring something in that you wouldn't otherwise have the ability to get because of your class restrictions.
Yep.
So, and I might be just completely explaining it wrong, so any Pathfinder aficionados, forgive me. It's not my preferred system, but it's a fun game. It's not. Anyway, okay, so
now we have more variants for
yes. So
classes specifically.
it
So,
misleads you and says, "Oh yeah, that's the end of the variants." Oh wait,
but wait, there's more.
but wait, there's more.
And so this is variants for your specialist wizards, and this is a lot of variation. And these are just the subclasses. Like this is what feels really 5e to me.
Oh yeah, you think so? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Because it's actually giving you features.
In its presentation, even it feels like
Right.
it's actually giving very specific and wordy sets of abilities.
Right. Like the mechanics they're using, well, no, right? Not so much. Though, like aura of protection for Abjurer, well, yeah, that's the Abjurer's ward, my guy. Like that works really well. So some of these definitely do fit in. The Necromancer looks very similar here as in 5e, with some of the things that go on. Like Undead Apotheosis is inured to undeath. Like that's it. That's the tweet. And Evoker is, conversely, surprisingly different. But Evoker is trying to solve the Fire Mage against a Red Dragon problem to a high degree.
Yeah, energy substitution. Bing, bing, bing. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Overcome resistance. There it is. That's the one. And Transmuter, here you can tell they have not yet quite had the idea of, oh, right, they're alchemists.
Yeah.
And man, when I opened the player's handbook and saw that that's what they were doing with transmuters, oh, right, they're alchemists. That's awesome. I was so in love with that. I still am. Like that.
Yeah.
That's just perfect.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So obviously we're going to keep getting more variants. It's just the kinds of further variants are less. Here we're subbing out your whole class, and more we're doing this specific thing differently. So next up is spontaneous divine casters. I don't think I need to explain any more of that. It's just divine casters or sorcerers. We're good.
Very straightforward. Yeah. New spells known table, and then that's pretty much it.
And I might think about, and honestly, that altogether winds up feeling like playing a 5th ed cleric with the way spell prep works in 5e.
Sure. Yep.
So
yeah, well, that's why I mentioned the spells known table, because that's of extreme importance when you're resource managing your spells in 3rd edition.
And what 5e has taught me is that, relaxing that further will still feel good. It's fine.
Yep.
Then we have favorite enemy variant. Never really been happy about favorite enemy as a thing, because it's just not going to come up enough.
Right. It always feels like it should, and then it never does.
And I'll use the line that I heard from a friend of mine, that I use every time it comes up. It defines your ranger as a walking hate crime.
Yeah.
It's not actually as exciting once you have that phrase in your head. It's just sort of frustrating. Oh yeah, I am sort of just horrible.
Yep.
Whirling Frenzy, that was a 4E thing that showed up in, was it Primal Power, probably?
Yeah, probably.
And I think it's probably also a ranger attack description.
Yeah.
Like a lot of melee ranger attacks probably described as Whirling Frenzy in one way or another. But yeah, like this is specifically about like a dervish concept.
Mm-hmm. It's meant to evoke a rage where you're just spinning around like a Tasmanian devil and killing everything.
Right. And it's sort of more video gamey, more explicitly video gamey than you see in a lot of 3.5, but it's still fun. Whatever.
So, 4th edition, Primal Power, Whirling Rend, Barbarian Attack 1. You strike
Called
out in
it.
2 directions, drawing blood from different enemies.
But
It's
isn't there also there's also a build that
yeah, probably. I just pulled this book off the shelf and flipped to the Barbarian page. So
there we go.
I'm sure there's a ton that I'm not remembering, but
it's fine.
Definitely, it's
so right. Like that's a pretty cool idea. I'm fine with that. The turning undead variant for level checks and for planar banishment. This is really eye-bleedingly dense text, so like, dear listeners, you don't need me to summarize this for you. It's a level check or it's planar banishment.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
Let's go. Wild shape variant aspect of nature. Now you're talking my language. I like this already. Because I like boomkins in World of Warcraft, like big old owlbear dudes that blast you with moonfire. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
I love those guys. And like this aspect of nature idea also shows up in 4e druids, my favorite druids of all time.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I've ever actually played a druid PC was 4e, but the very fluid way they shapeshifted just was so freaking fun. Anyway, this is very much about taking on one aspect and beating things up in that one aspect.
Right.
And that's fine. It's a bit more customized shapeshifting rather than the like shapeshift into either an owlbear caster or a swamp thing or whatever. Though you should totally be able to shapeshift into Swamp Thing because that comic is awesome. And so like this is pretty cool. I think there's also a bunch of prestige classes that deal with this idea of piecemeal shapeshifting. So next up after that, we get prestigious character classes. And we talked about this a bit in the first episode. So I don't think we need to cover it all that much. Mm-hmm. But what is interesting is that there are 15 level character classes. None of this 5 or 10 business.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you earn the prestige to be this thing between 5th and 6th level, and now you're the thing. Go forth. Mm-hmm. But it's a way to say that you have to grow into being a fighter or into being a paladin or a ranger or a bard. Sure, right. That's fine. All I take away from that is, man, it would have been cool if there had been something for wizards. Oh, well, it's fine. So after that, you get to one of the really big ideas in the book, and one of the ones that I think got the most traction out of everything in the entire book. I think pretty safely the most traction out of all the things in this book, because not many got a lot of traction. Gestalt characters. Mm-hmm. This is the weirdest multiclassing option that
has ever been written.
D&D has offered up to this point.
Yeah,
and possibly that has ever been written. Yeah, like it's wild, but like it offers an ethic of D&D that is just not in tune with the rest of D&D. Mm-hmm. And that's fine and that's cool, but you take the best of either world for 2 classes. Right. You pick 2 classes and you get everything, the better of the hit dice, the better of all these options. Mm-hmm. And if the 2 options are just in parallel and aren't offering you the same thing, you just get both. It's fine. And so that really, on one level, makes the game all about action economy. Mm-hmm. Like, every round, what you care about is action economy.
Right.
But it's going to be a very super heroic game, and that's cool. Like, it lets you create some characters from popular fiction that are much harder to create in a single class environment. Our friend Jeremiah is a big old fan of Gestalt. As a gameplay thing, he played with that for a long time.
I didn't realize
and
that.
I've heard him praise it extensively. Yeah. But the balancing Gestalt characters section, it doesn't quite say, "Good luck, dude.
Yeah,
You'll figure it out."
It doesn't say forget about it.
Right, but like it offers some challenge rating advice.
Wait, you skipped the best part of this section.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
This picture.
Yeah.
On page 74 that shows Miley as a wizard, and then as a wizard fighter, and then as a wizard rogue, and then as a wizard ranger. It's the most hilarious progression of images in this book. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's delightful in its ridiculous awesomeness. It's just so funny. Right. Because she has the same look on her face.
Well,
it's like a pissed off person who's being told, now for the next scene, change into this. Okay, now for the next scene, change into this. It's just, it's brilliant.
Right.
I love it.
I'm done with this photo shoot, and so is my wolf.
Can we get on with it? It's funny.
Right.
I understand what they were trying to do, but it's pretty funny.
Well, and the wizard rogue really undersells the concept.
Oh yeah, of course.
I have a robe and a key.
Right.
That's how you know I'm a wizard rogue. Wizard rogue.
Exactly. Yeah.
You took an art course from portraying saints in historical artwork, didn't
Right.
you? All right.
Yeah.
And here you know it is St. Paul because of the beard? The beard is how you know? Sure.
The outreached first finger and the thumb making the palm flat, and the key is pointed in this direction. And
sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Lord.
No, it's perfect.
So generic classes we already covered. I do still find something compelling in it. Like it's so stripped down, and what I like about it is that it's so stripped down, and because there is so little meat on those bones, you can just give people stuff. Like you don't need to have them pay for it; they can just earn it, and it's a permanent reward that behaves like a class feature.
Yeah,
and it's fine.
And I feel like it's really interesting because that's sort of the Gestalt thing is kind of the most, you build the most complex possible character because you're basically taking two classes and everything from both those classes and out. And that sounds like a great idea, but now you have to deal with all that stuff, right? Right. And this is kind of the most simplistic way to present class options.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's interesting that this chapter is ended with the most complex and then the most simple, and yet they both work in their own way.
Yeah, and that's definitely true. But like, this makes me think about Planescape Torment. A lot of things make me think about Planescape Torment. It's a game where like you have a second edition based character progression, which is so stripped down. You can be a fighter, you can be a thief, you can be a magic user. Those are your options. Live with it. And you have additional attacks per round. You have improved thieving chances, and you have better spellcasting. That's it. So because it's so simple, the game lets you unlock additional abilities that don't appear in any class progression in the world, as part of the story, as part of picking dialogue options and completing quests and all this kind of stuff. It's so good. It's so good. That feeling of like, I didn't know this was coming. It wasn't already shown in my progression. I earned it.
Right.
I earned it because This didn't have to happen. This wasn't inevitable. So that has just always really spoken to me. For all that the very second ed mechanics of Planescape Torment are, they're a little creaky.
Sure.
They're not a nightmare, but they're a little creaky. They're just like, it's really cool what you can do when things are really stripped down and you just have room to be generous as a DM and say, well, hey, you did this really cool thing. Why don't you have a permanent reward for it? It's a reward, not permission to buy a feat. It's just, you have this thing now. Well, that's really cool. So that's something that I would love to be able to experiment with. The thing that makes it hard at the table is that it needs such a high trust environment. And man, 3rd edition is not a high trust environment.
Right.
And then it also wants to be a mechanically spare environment. Like, dead levels are actually good. Right?
Right.
So 5th ed isn't great for it, and 4th ed is right out.
Yeah.
And so 2nd and 3rd are the ones where there might be some space for that kind of thing. Now, that said, you could certainly take the 5th ed chassis, which is still my preferred chassis out of those, and like maybe drain off some of the less crucial stuff that you get as you advance, because you're going to fill it back in with more exciting stuff that specifically arose out of the story. Anyway,
right.
This is not something I've done. It's just something that that sort of keeps calling to me. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but I also don't know if I'll ever have a group of players who feel patient enough and high trust enough to just improvise new features into existence and negotiate them and assume it will be fine.
Yeah, that's a rough combo.
It is. And
I mean, you might have one person that will be willing to do that at the table.
Well, sure.
2 would be very tough. Getting a whole table,
right?
That's
right. And I definitely have players who are very invested in being able to plan their builds and know who their character is going to be in advance, and that's just not the right goal. That's not the right emotional goal for that whole approach to the game. And it's not that wanting to plan your build is wrong. It's that it's a bad fit for this one thing I want to do.
Right.
Like, those are just competing goals. Anyway, so that brings us to the end of Chapter 2 of Unearthed Arcana, and we had ambitions of getting through more of this book tonight, but also we have an ever-growing well of self-knowledge, and so that's going to end it for tonight. Next time, as we go through Unearthed Arcana, we'll be getting to Chapter 3, Building Characters, which promises some very different stuff, very different kinds of variation on what the game is. Some very fundamental engine level stuff. So that's going to be exciting. I'll be curious to see what in here is looking forward to 4th and 5th, or even to some of the F20 sister games like 13th Age. It's gonna be some fun stuff. So thank you all for joining us in this strange little adventure. So thank you, everybody, and remember, stay out of melee reach, because coronavirus loves an opportunity attack.